Hi, good morning. It's Shaul here, and this morning we're going to look at, welcome to the webinar first. This morning we're going to look at getting started with Formit and Revit. Right, so good morning. We're going to look at getting started with Formit and Revit in this webinar. Hope you guys had a good day so far, and let's get into it. Alright, so the agenda is going to be, we're going to just introduce the topic, then we're going to look at workflows between Revit and Formit, and then there's three specific items we're going to look at, and I'll do that in the various software, and then we're going to conclude. Alright, so Formit is basically it's part of the AEC collection. So where it fits into the whole ecosystem is it's a tool to design or use to design forms and look at certain analysis, but and it obviously links with Revit. So the workflow is basically you would design something maybe on an iPad or on the PC, using forms that Formit enables you to create. There's various analysis like floor areas, energy and solar studies that you can do on this particular app. It can also import, which I'll show later. It can also import the terrain map around your site, and so that you have a feel of what's happening around you. Right, and then you can obviously take that further into Revit as a mass model and develop the design further in Revit to construction drawings, etc. All right, so the first topic that I want to just look at is there's now a new feature in Revit that allows you to take context from Revit and send it to SketchUp, to Formit, and then within Formit you can develop your design and then bring it back. So it adds context to your little design that you do in Formit. Now I'll go through the workflow. You'll see that on the left in the picture there it says open Formit. So as you click the button, it'll ask you, do you want to just open Formit with the visible objects or selected objects, and then once you've finished you can send the selected model back to Revit. Okay, so there's like a work through around workaround through the different software. Right, so I'm going to go into just to show that I'm going to go into Revit, and I've just opened up the standard model, and perhaps I want to look at, just if I zoom into this area here, what I want to do is I just want to create a couple of chairs and a little table or whatever external weather objects. Right, so I'm going to take this piece of floor, and when I go to the massing and site tool set, there is a new button called Sketch in Formit. So as I select on that, it asks me that question: do you want to launch Formit with a visible object or selected object? So I'll select the selected object. So what it's now done, it's going to just take that little piece and then open Formit for me. All right, let me just go to open session. All right, apologies, there we go. Right, so there it now opens up Formit. So we'll see now. Right, so there's the piece of floor that has that's been added to this model. Now it's the context. Now I could have selected more components and it'll just bring all of them in. Now Formit basically you can now use a lot of tools within Formit. Obviously you can sketch. There's sketch based tools. There's primitives that you can use. There's obviously, as I mentioned earlier, there's some solar and energy analysis that you can generate, and there's also a location that that you might want to set up. I'll show that a little bit later. Right, so in this case I was going to add a little you know, maybe a little object there. Perhaps it's too big, so I will just right click and you know, just make it a little bit smaller. Right, just sorry, let's just click on the arrow. There we go. That you can obviously scale it as I did there, or you can take one of these sides and kind of pull it, maybe you know, just pull it down a little bit, etc. Now you can select edges as well, pull and push those, you know, and do various different things. Okay, so there's a little you know, seating object that I want to you know, have designed. Okay, so then once I've finished that, I can save this Formit file and you know, just send it back to Revit, and it's now you know, informed me that that's been done. All right. Okay, so now if I go back to Revit, there's the component that's been added here. Right, so this is a as you can see, that's a imported item that is created elsewhere that I can you know, use. Right, okay, so basically that is the little bit of a workflow. I'll talk about Formit just a little bit later, showing some of the functionality, but let's return to the PowerPoint. Right, so basically we went and launched Formit using you know, the selected objects, and then did a little bit of a seating component and passed it back into Revit. All right, then the next part is looking at importing Formit models. All right, so basically here you would perhaps design from scratch. Perhaps it's a kind of like a bubble diagram with forms and different shapes that you want to put together, and then you can import it into Revit. Now you could have done this in the past already. However, they have redesigned this workflow, making it 30 times faster, and also the button has changed slightly. In the past you had to kind of install an add-in, but now it comes with the Revit software. So basically it's part of the, you know, the UI or the layouts. As you can see there in the insert tab, there is a import CAD that's familiar, but when you go and click on the drop down within the import CAD, you'll see there's a Formit file added to that list, and obviously you just browse through the file and it brings it in. Okay, so let's look at that. I'm going to again just open Revit, excuse me, Formit, because Formit is going to be now I just want to explain a little bit. Maybe Formit is on my iPad and I want to you know, start, I've got an idea and I want to sketch up some forms. So what I could do initially is just look at levels. So on the left hand side here, there's some levels that I can add. So these are levels that you can you know, there's add, you can you know, add another level, change the elevation of this level. Maybe let's just remove this and that one, and then maybe change this one to 4 meters and that one to 8 meters and that sort of thing, you know. So you can go and add heights. Right, then maybe I'm gonna just look at the location. I just want to just briefly show a little bit one or two features here. So I'm going to go 47 Shirley Street, Port Elizabeth. There we go. Right, and perhaps there's some, maybe I need to, build at the back there on this site or whatever. So I zoom out. At the top here I can say import satellite image and terrain. You can specify it a little bit more specific, and you go finish importing, and what's happened then is the model is, or that cadastral image has been added, and then you can start sketching, perhaps creating some forms. I'm not going to go sketching, I'm just going to create a couple of forms, maybe a cylinder. I'll just add the cylinder there. Obviously this cylinder has got certain properties, so you can you can see volumes and square meterage. If I just take this top, I'll just keep it there, but excuse me, the top there I must just select and then pull that top a little bit higher. Right, so if I now take this, well, let me just add another object, maybe a square, maybe over there, take this maybe 4 meters that way. Alright, okay, let's just see what, let's add a height there. Alright, so these two components I'll just kind of select as a whole, and then say use levels here on the right, and what happens is it cuts through these at these level heights, and it generates the square meterage. Now perhaps let me just go back and say that's maybe 2 meters, and that's maybe 4 meters, and that sort of thing. So it cuts through these, so there's now 2 floors or 3 floors, and if I go back to the properties, you'll see that's the square meterage of the combined floors that I have, based on the heights that I've added. Alright, there's also shadows that you can add, sun settings, that you can adjust the particular sun angles. Obviously there's solar analysis you can do based on photovoltaic systems. So maybe over here I'll select those components. I'll say month peak, perhaps, or maybe just the top there, rather than selecting everything. I'll just pick the, okay, let's just reset that. I'll pick that one's top and that one's top, and I'll say analyze those. Right, and it has certain wattage per square meter. Obviously over there based on north, you have less sun angles, etc. Okay, so very quick, you can do some analysis. There's also other things that you can do. The idea is not a form a demo, but just to give you a little bit of a feel to that. Alright, perhaps now what I want to do is I want to import this now to Revit. So I'll just kind of, I'll just save that. I've clicked a little bit off there. Alright, so I'll go File, Save As, and I'll just say save it locally, and I'll just call this say design, whatever. Once it's saved, I'll now go to Revit, and here I'll just create a new project, just as it's the start of the design or whatever. Okay, I'm going to go to the site view or so, and then I'll say, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, I'll go insert, import CAD, and then from here I'll go to the drop down, and I'll go grab the design SketchUp file. I could also import the format level, so that's good. I'll say open, and if I look at the model, there's the site, and there's the item. Right. Okay, so basically there's the terrain. If you look at that from the side, there's the little model, and you can perhaps yeah, so this is kind of a imported item as anything, so you can't go and edit this much. It's more for reference purposes. If I do go and select the element, you do have ability to just explode it if you want to. Then it's part of then it's a mass model, hopefully. Let's just see there. If I go explode, no, right. So there's items that you can then use in your model. Right, to import item. Okay, and design around perhaps. Okay, if I go to walls by face, I won't be able to pick on that. Right, so that's a little bit of a workflow. If I go back to the PowerPoint. Right, so the last part of this is just looking at converting Revit families for use in Formit. So what I'm going to do with the workflow is I'm going to just go to Revit and click on the button convert to Formit, and I'll pick one or two items and then just send it to Formit to be used there. Right, so that workflow, let's do that. So in Revit, I'm just going to return to the previous drawing that I had. Right, so I'm just going to kind of go into maybe floor plan over here. First floor. Right, so this there's a lounge here with some seating. Maybe this item here. What I'm just going to do, it's kind of a couch with an island in that. I'm just going to edit the family. So just to kind of save this somewhere. Alright, so there's the couch, and I'll just say file save as. Just to kind of put it somewhere. Now I've got a family library there, so I'll just there's already item that I added previously, one of these items, but this is the single with island, so I'll just add that to this maybe library. Right, I'll just close over here. So I've just saved it out of Revit into a file. Right, now what I'm going to do is, as I mentioned in the PowerPoint, I will go to add-ins and convert to Formit. Right, so this is it's been there already, but it's kind of just been enhanced. So if I go there, it will ask me, what is the source directory, and then where do I want to place these over here. So the source directory is right, but obviously you can browse. If I do browse, you'll just kind of pick the correct directory, and then this is the path to the content. So it takes all those items, basically the following categories, and then place it into a directory on the C drive. So I'll say OK. Right, so it converts those items. There is only 2 in there. Alright, so once that's done, it says it's successfully converted. So I then go to the format area, and I'll just open up maybe one of the previous drawings, and over here you've got a library area that you can define, and if I go there to the left, to the right, there's already the content. So I'll just kind of now you can obviously add additional directories, which I did previously, but if you do add, it just asks you to browse. There's the one that has been added, but otherwise you'll just click the plus and add it. Right, so this one's been added. I'll just refresh those, and as you refresh it, you'll see the one that I had previously, and this one. Right, now I could use this in in Formit, any of these components, spacebar to turn them around, etc. You do also have the ability to, these are content libraries of samples that that comes with Formit. So here you can add additional kind of objects that comes with this Formit scenario. Obviously there's different sizes. Maybe I do a larger one. Right. So you can very easily create some more detail based on your just the forms and that sort of thing. So you can use, the idea is to use the Revit content in Formit, but eventually then obviously bring it back to Revit, to further your design. All right. So yeah, obviously there's materials and various other things as well that you can add, but I just wanted to explain the workflow, with regards to the content libraries that you can generate and convert from Revit to Formit and use it in your Formit models. All right. Okay, so basically, if I go back to the PowerPoint, right, so what we've done is we've gone into Revit. We've just basically saved a component, that counts into a library. Now you could have an existing library of components already that you use every day in Revit, but you can then use this conversion tool to just generate a little piece of library like doors and windows and seating and whatever, as you saw, trees, whatever, and then use that in Formit just to create a kind of a sketch plan that's got more detail rather than just the shapes, trees, cars, people, etc. All right, and then obviously you could also save that and bring it into Revit for further development. All right, okay, so basically that's the idea behind the webinar. It's just to show you some of the workflows that has been enhanced and added to include Formit as a design tool. Right. Okay, so Autodesk obviously continuously improve this, so maybe in a couple of months there will be additional tools, so keep on looking at Formit out there and keep using it if you haven't used it before, because it can enhance your workflow, add another design tool to it, and then right, I'm gonna just so that's basically it. If you need any further information, you can give us a call or email us, and we will be happy to help. What I'm going to just do is I'm going to just look at questions. If you have any questions, I'm just going to go to the web just to see if there's any questions, and we will basically take it offline. All right, so if you have, you can type it into the chat box. Gert asked, I guess you can utilize Formit to form your surroundings, for aesthetic render reasons. Yeah, you can do that. Basically, create the buildings around your site to add context for that. Yeah, 100%. Just to create the basic forms. All right. And those forms can be based on the terrain, as I showed, basically tracing the buildings around your site and pulling them up or down, creating the shapes of the buildings around your site. All right. Okay. Thanks for Gert for that. All right, guys. It is done now. You're welcome to. I'm going to stop the recording, and you welcome to chat still on the chat box, and then we will. Then I'll basically answer that offline. Right. Thanks for attending. See you on the next one.